Hmm. There's problem with this thing. Oh. It's not connecting. All right, guys, you're welcome to the Views from the Stand. It's just the three wise men today. Myself, Ikweriman, Daniele, Canepa. We're going to try our best to look at a lot of issues, talking points, things that have gone on in the beautiful world of sports, especially football. I had a Formula One expert lined up, but last minute it pulled out. Wanted to discuss the Lewis Hamilton situation, as a lot of you guys have been asking us to bring that up on the show. But I promise, subsequently, we might have him, and he will be here to share his thoughts on Formula One. Having said that, I've got capable personalities that you've heard from before, and they've done justice to major talking point. For Daniele Canepa, he's not been around for a while. He's been busy. He's been actively involved in shaping humanity and make the world a better place. But having said that, I'm going to start with him. Daniele, what have we missed? Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm very happy to be back. I don't know if I'm shaping the future of humanity, but certainly my own future.
You're part of humanity.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's start with Italy. Let's come to Italy. The Napoli have really, put their foot up there. One loss, one draw, 6 wins in eight. It's been very, very impressive. I know that Antonio Conte is the kind of guy that can achieve this kind of result, but Napoli are not known for repeated success. But for a while, they were knocking on the door until they won the title a couple of seasons ago, and then they start going down under. But somehow, Conte have rejuvenated the squad, and it seems like they are in it for the longer haul. We don't know if they'll win it, but seems like they are going to be with the chasing pack for probably the whole season, unless something happen, injuries or that. Let's have your take. What's the word on the streets in Italy?
hmm Yes, yes. What they're doing is quite impressive. I think Serie A looks very, very interesting this year. It probably hasn't been you know, as interesting as today for some years, because really today there is no clear favorite to win the title. There are probably the four big teams have emerged, and Napoli is there. I wouldn't say unexpectedly, but yes, because they really bounced back from a poor season they had last year, which I think tells a lot about how important it is to get the right manager in the right place at the right time. I think Antonio Conte did something similar when he joined Juventus in 2011. Yeah, that come from that gone through some dark years, and he turned things around the moment he arrived. So he probably has this charisma to be able to go to a place that is in shatters and turn the situation around. So is probably the right manager to do that. Maybe Tottenham fans will kind of regret that he couldn't do the same with their club, but yes, and it's also interesting because you've got Juventus. I think Thiago Motta is still trying to shape this very young team with a lot of prospective talents, and he's doing it in a very intelligent way. And the intelligent way is, okay, let's start from not conceding goals. And Juventus have conceded, I think, one goal in 8 matches. So and then you've got Inter probably in terms of the technical quality of the squad are number one. AC Milan struggled at the beginning. Now it seems that they're kind of back on track. And let's not underrate Atalanta, who've now won 2 consecutive games, and they have a striker who is in incredibly good form. That's Matteo Retegui, is the Argentinian born, but now playing for the Italian national
Yeah.
side. And under Gasperini is doing wonders. So it's very interesting league. Even the like kind of the teams in the relegation area, when they lose, they do it by a narrow margin. I mean, Empoli is not certainly a big team. They you know, it was very difficult for Napoli to come out of Empoli with a win. So it's very interesting. It's, I would say, at last it's become very interesting and balanced again.
Chana, let me come to you on this one, and it's the NPFL. There's so much talk about the return of, you know, Ahmed Musa, the governor, Shehu Abdullahi. We cannot forget him. And when Ahmed Musa scored the other day, that goal got over 100 million engagement. That's like very, very big for the NPFL. And there is a possibility that we might get to see Brani Deye, maybe Onazi. I'm not sure of the Onazi one because I think the Onazi is looking at settling in the US. I know that for sure. I also don't know about John Ogu because as such a wonderful guy that he is, but he easily is one person that is easily pissed off by disorganized setup. I don't know if he will be able to manage to play in the Nigerian league. But so far, of Ahmed Musa, Shehu Abdullahi, and Kano Pillars, what has impressed you the most?
The fact that they came back home. Most Nigerian players, after playing in Europe and in the Middle East, they don't want to come back home and play football. So the fact that they came back home is one. And a lot of times when these big players come back home, by big, I mean they've actually played for the Super Eagles before. When they come back home, they choose to play just home games for their team. They don't want to make road trips. They want to be comfortable knowing how the Nigerian league terrain is traveling around the roads and all. But this time they played on the road. I know they're in Uyo for their game against Aqua United. Then they were in Enugu for the game against Rangers, the game that they went 4 goals up in the first half and eventually won that one 4-3. So that's the thing about them. They not just come back home to play home games, they're actually going on the road with their team. And there are people who are just excited to watch.
Yeah,
I said
that's
it last week how in Uyo, after they lost to Aqua United 2-0, there were loads of people who heard Ahmed Musa was coming, who ran into the pitch and carried him shoulder high. It's like, listen, this is Nigeria's all-time top scorer in the World Cup, 4 goals. No Nigerian living or dead has scored 4 goals in the World Cup and playing the home turf where we can see. It was something big. And like you said, if Brown Ideye closes that deal with Rivers United or any other club that is interested in him, that will be another AFCON winner playing in the Nigerian League. They played at Sochaux, played at West Bromwich Albion, Olympiacos, Malaga, quite some clubs in Europe and in the Middle East. So if you can pull that deal, then get some other player. And we expect even more because there are quite a lot of them who, like I said earlier in some other show, we see it in South America. The likes of Tevez, the likes of Kaká, the likes of Ronaldinho, they go back home when things don't seem to work the way they want in Europe. I think Nigerian players should do that too. It's a big one for the Nigerian league, very big for the Nigerian league, Matthew.
Talking about the Nigerian League, we have Finidi George, Janet Abola Mokashi, and Emmanuel Amonike now coaching for Rivers United, Lobby Stars, and Heartland. And the results are way, way different. There's nobody who knows the league like you do. What changed? Because now, not just the fact that teams can go anywhere and win, but the era where you go away, get a result, and then before you know, your bus have been vandalized, fans are setting your bus ablaze. I'm sure you must have experienced one or such. In your book, you talked about something similar in Kano, where you people's life was at stake just because you got to draw that game that was handled by the referee, the Lagos referee, Adigwe, something Adigwe, Gabriel
Yeah.
Adigwe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But now people can go anywhere. I can't remember anybody scoring 4 goals in the first half against Enugu Rangers at the Cathedral. What has changed in the league?
Well, for some pessimists, they will say it's early days, yes. They still are not up to match the 10 in the league, and some of these things can happen. And when it gets to squeaky bum time, where clubs are either fighting to win the league, fighting to go on the continent, or fighting to survive relegation, then they become more desperate. So we say that. I will know it's almost like a tradition in the league where we say if you want to win away from home, the best time to do it is in the first 10 games when desperation has not set in yet. But apart from that, I think fans are becoming more aware, right? Fans are also beginning to realize that eventually it's a game. Then before now, we just have maybe one or two games on TV in a whole match day. But this time there are more games streamed. So you have a worldwide audience. So I'm not saying things can happen even in that, but people are more careful. Then again, Enugu, where Pillars scored 4 goals in the first half, is seen as a liberal place. There are places you know in the league where a team will not come and score 4 goals against the home side in the first half. You know, a section of the fans might want to be unruly. But most of all,
places
right?
like River State.
I don't see Rivers United considering 4 goals at home, but yes, so it happened in Port Harcourt. It can happen in Port Harcourt. It can, especially like the game in Enugu. There are some penalties Rangers thought they should have got that wasn't given to them. If that happens in Port Harcourt, some fans will be unruly. If it happens in Kano, fans will be unruly. If it happens in Ibadan, fans will be unruly. So these are places that fans will be unruly if they feel they're being undone by the ref and if the away team is scoring too many goals. But right now we're enjoying the results, Matthew. We're enjoying the peace in the league, which we hardly have. We're enjoying the peace in the league, and we're hoping that the league can also shame those critics that think when it gets to match the 25 and 26 and match the 30, that these results will not come. Let's hope it comes. But bottom line is that, listen, I saw the Pillars goals against Rangers in Enugu. They are class. Ahmed Musa was having fun that day. He was running rings around the Rangers players. And I saw a comment on social media where that said Musa is playing against kids. Kids, not because of age, but because of
experience,
level,
exposure.
Yes, his level way higher than what he met at Enugu Rangers. But again, we are enjoying the league. We hope long may it continue. That's our prayer.
Daniel, let me circle back to you on the Club World Cup, and I will still get China's thoughts on that one. Yesterday we saw FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who's fighting to force everybody to agree with him on this project, not minding whether the players are complaining, the clubs are complaining, especially the European ones. I mean, the South American, North Americans, and even African teams will be very excited to participate in a tournament like this. Another thing for this tournament is that there is no official sponsors for it yet. They're still not announced. I mean, it's 2 months to the draws. They're still not announced yet how much the winner will get, how much you get for entry fees. What's your position on this competition? Just your general position, and how are the Italians responding to it?
Well, to be honest with you, I think I'm kind of sharing a kind of, let's say, average position. We don't talk about that. Where there's, for the moment, at least, there's no interest in that. I mean, from talking about the fan, from a fan base point of view, I think here in Europe we're kind of traditionalists.
Yeah.
In terms of a lot of people, especially my generation. Okay, so I'm 43. My generation, or people in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, and over, they would actually like to go back to, the old format of the Champions League, which was called the European Cup, where you didn't have any group stage, okay? And the Champions League or European Cup was only for the teams that won the league, okay? And then you had the UEFA Cup, which later has kind of evolved into the Europa League, which was actually a kind of similar to today's Champions League, because it was from the second ranked to the fifth ranked, okay,
Yeah.
at the end of this. So I'm just saying this to say adding something new before you create a tradition whereby people are kind of looking forward to that appointment is difficult. I could understand for clubs from other continents, they're looking forward to it because they're looking forward to performing at that stage against the top European clubs. It's a big opportunity. But I think, I don't know, then probably they will try to push it, they'll try to promote it. So eventually, when it does happen, fans will watch it. But to be honest with you, now we're focused on Serie A. There's already been a big change with the new Champions League format, and people are trying to get accustomed to that, which personally I don't dislike. So my personal standpoint is that you have to be careful not to push too much because you might get the opposite effect.
China, let me come to you on this. I mean, Inter Miami is going to participate. Miami with their 86,000 or so 68,000 capacity stadium will host quite a few games. What's your take on the new version of what we used to know as the Confederations Cup that started as King Fahd Cup in 1995 or 1993? I don't know when that was, but it's in the mid-90s. What's your take on it?
Like Daniel said, too many changes first. Then again, the players have always complained that they have too many games to play. So players are going to go through a very long season.
But they've never complained of being paid too much money. I don't think I want to even listen to the players. They should shut up and play the ball.
Okay, that argument with you will never end, and you never change your stance on it. But again,
I'm never going to change my. The reason why I'm never going to change my stand is if you're never complaining of the money, you are always asking for money. You've got to work to earn that money. To whom much is given, much is expected. Football is not something you went to school to go study. Football is just a gift that you have that you just play. I'm an ex-football player saying this.
The players have not stopped playing the football, but they have a right to say they're playing too many games. They've never decided not to play. They play the football.
They are demanding for too many money. So when you demand for too much money, somebody's going to look for games to manufacture those money.
If you ask me a question, then let me answer your question.
Sorry,
right?
sir.
If you remember the Euros, right? The first round of games at the Euros, did you enjoy what you saw?
I enjoyed it. I just saw that the players were foolish.
Well, there were tired legs and tired minds in those games. So,
but immediately the season started, they were not tired again. And Ken is scoring like goals are going out of fashion. Lewandowski is scoring like goals are going out of fashion. All of a sudden, everybody is not scoring.
Because they have some time to rest. The point is that right, we are fans and we enjoy the football, right? We enjoy the football and want to keep watching football. We don't want to stop watching football, but the people playing the football are going to get tired at some point. So it's an expanded World Club Cup. We're going to enjoy the football, but with too many changes in a short time might just ruin the not ruin. That's the wrong word to use.
Water it down.
I think so. Yes, I think so. For Inter Miami, they're going to enjoy being with the best in the world, but in terms of quality, they're going to add little or nothing. In any case, FIFA owns the game. FIFA owns the game, and whatever changes they bring to the game, they're going to accept it and watch more football. It means there have lots of football for us to watch, but again, to what end?
My only problem with this complaint is that it's only the Europeans that are complaining, and I think at some point, we should try and resist this need to always think that anything that Europe says is what everybody must do, and they are the big corona of the hood. Anything they just say, yes, the gospel according to European club football. The gospel according. I think at some point we should be able to look at them in the face and say, okay, if you don't want to be part of it, don't be part of it. You get too much, by the way. World Cup qualification, you get more countries. There are 54 countries in Europe. There are 54 countries in Africa. Nobody's ever asking why is Europe getting more. You get a lot of buy. There are very weak countries in Europe as well, like San Marino, North Macedonia, all those countries that can't play football, Gibraltar. But yet they use that as advantage to get all of that. So when it comes to the competition, they also demand more money than any other continent. So this money is going to come from somewhere. And if they need to get that more money, then there need to be more games. But let's get past that. I want to circle back to the NPFL. You saw Brani they train, whether you saw him live or you saw the clips of Brani they train with Rivers United. Finidi George, we've seen him walking slowly but surely, walking his team upward there. It's not how the team starts in the league, it's at the end. Rivers United like Napoli right now, but they have all the peckings of winning the league. That Rivers United team, do they need an Ideye in that team? Is there something extra that an Ideye will add to the Rivers United team?
Yes, it's obvious, right? It's like asking what Musa adds to counter pillars. Yeah, Ideye will add calmness in front. He will add a touch of class. He's going to add more goals. Now, he knocked the ball around with them for about 20, maybe 30 minutes on the day. And I was there, I watched it, I was there. And you could see the difference when he had the ball with him. It was obvious that that was a different player. It was obvious that that player was not part of the league. It was obvious. So he's going to, and I actually spoke with Finidi after that session. And Finidi seemed impressed at what he had seen. When you play in the Nigerian league, right? I keep saying this, that most players in the league never train under a qualified coach until they're about to sign their first contracts. Because street football is street football.
True.
Secondary school is secondary school. The youngest teacher in school is pushed to be the football team coach. So the first time players actually train under a qualified coach is probably when they're about to sign their first contract. So the foundation is always faulty. Now, so when the player has played 15 years in Europe and the Middle East, and he comes back home, you're going to see a difference when he plays football. So it was obvious that Rivers United team are second on the table right now. Even if they're playing one game today, they might go back top after today's game. Someone might say, why do we need an extra player? We are doing well already, right? But you can never have all the players. You can never have a perfect team. You want to keep improving your team. If your team was 60%, you want it to be 70%. If your team was 80, you want it to be 90. If your team is 90, you want it to be 95. But there's no 100% team. So I believe that the team needs a player like Brown. He's going to add a lot to the front line of that team. A lot to the front line of that team. And if they can play with him, they're going to see the difference.
As a journalist covering the Nigerian league and someone who's been a media officer of a team, you spend the longest time as a team media officer of all the media officers that we know, in the league.
13 years.
Good, 13 years. Whoa, that's exactly the same years I worked in Brilla. Jesus, my entire career, I used it to do media officer. Wow. Ancestor, we hail. Okay, so what are the improvements that you've noticed? Okay, so when I watch the league, this is me now, as a former player of the league, I say the quality of play in terms of the players have dropped. And when I say that, a lot of people are like, what are you saying? I say like the worst of play in terms of quality of play, ball control, movement, transition of my era is what they consider now as the best of play. But in this season and last season, I produced the league last season, produced the 2 seasons ago, quite a few games in the league. And I saw some things I'll be like, oh God, these guys are not giving us what we need. But for you, what's the difference comparing when you were working in the league as a media officer and what we currently have? What is the difference as a comparison?
Let me help you and I agree with you. It can't be the same quality. I spoke with the Enyimba's coach, Yema, about 2 weeks ago. He said something. He said, the top scorers of the league in the past 2 seasons came from Enyimba. Between those two players, they got about 34, 35 goals. They're not in the league right now. So the best players keep leaving. If a striker scores 5 goals in the league, he's in Sri Lanka or Malaysia or somewhere else. So as long as our best players leave every other month, the quality cannot be the same. It's going to keep going down. So in terms of quality of play, I will agree with you, it was better before. What the league has differently now is visibility. Now, people actually talk about the league. You can see league games actually trend on X.
Yeah.
It means people are watching and posting about the games. You can actually watch the league on live TV or their streaming sites. These things that were not very possible. You produce the league once, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now there was a time that our league was not on TV at all. There was time we had just one game on TV a week, then 2 games on TV a week. Then now we have a week. I'm talking about visibility.
Yeah.
With that visibility, right, I think that more people are about the league. They are a bit, the pitches are not, they are better pitches these days, like the Ucha United, you know, but not much has changed in terms of infrastructure. In terms of the way the club managers, have tried to run the clubs, not much has changed. It's just the media, especially the new media, the young lads on social media, people like you, people like me, who are trying to push the league. So that's why what has given it more visibility, unlike before. But in terms of the quality of play, I saw better football in the 80s and in the 90s, and 10 years ago, I saw better football.
I want to ask you about 3 players, and I need you to just give me a short note on them. We don't have too much time. We have like 5 minutes to wrap up. Now, first one, Richard Owubokiri. What can you say about Richard Owubokiri?
It was the truth. Richard Owubokiri was probably 15 years old when Shaq signed him to play in the league. Now, it's still told in Port Harcourt today that when Rangers came to play Sharks in Port Harcourt, he's seen as I think he's the first person who dribbled Christian Ochuko, the chairman, to a point that Ochuko sat on the ground and could not stand up anymore. Richard Owubokiri, he was an enigma. Packed shots with both feet, he was good in the air, he had speed, he had pace, and he scored goals too. So he dazzled Port Harcourt. I mean, we can't stop talking about him. He played for Sharks in the 70s up to 1981, but we can't forget Richard Owubokiri. We can't. Ricky, as you know him in Europe and in Brazil.
Efosa Eguaku, a.k.a. Ronaldinho. The most stubborn human being I coached as a coach. The most stubborn player I coached. But it was that kind of guy that could steal my pot of soup and I was still playing him in a match. But I don't know about you. What's your own talk about him?
Efosa was
You're shocked that I coached him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was part of the St. Thomas secondary school team that knocked Dolphins out of the FA Cup, I think in 2000.
Yes.
In 1999 or 2000, and Dolphins signed 4 of those players. Efosa was one of them. Ojobo was one of them. I missed the other 2 names now. And Efosa was on the right wing. Efosa could dazzle. Efosa could go behind any player. He could dribble past any player. Yeah, he had the poor off the pitch life, no doubt. But right there on the pitch, he was a magician. When Efosa is playing, the fans just believe that even if the club is losing, that equalizer will come because he can just, a moment of magic. He can take out 3-4 players, it was just magical. And strikers like Victor Ezigi and Kelechi Osunwa or Wazoke Wobo, they benefited from Efosa's dribbles and his amazing runs.
Finally, the one that was kept in detention in Egypt, Ochuko Ojobo, the wizard himself. Talk to me about him.
Yeah, incidentally, Efosa and Ochuko played from the right. And the coaches seem to prefer Efosa, right? And Ochuko will come in later. Now, it's about Efosa would like to dribble and weave through defenses. Ochuko had speed. He liked the 1-2 pass. He takes up on the right, and he had speed. He crosses the ball. So he was taller than Efosa. He did not dribble too much, but what he had was his speed down the right flank and down the left. He had been playing the center before when when Musa could off at the center before. But between Efosa and Ochuko, Port fans just did not know who to pick. Where Efosa for entertainment, Ochuko for efficiency, but both of them worked well for the club.
Let me add one player that I consider one of the best left fullback to ever play in the Nigerian league. And there are quite a lot of defenders that played in the Nigerian league. But I think that this one was a white man's brain in a black body. Joseph Eyimofe. What do you have to say about him?
I was expecting that name, right?
Fantastic player. Fantastic player.
Joseph Eyimofe, he joined Dolphins after the World Cup in the Under-17 World Cup in Trinidad in 2001.
Yeah.
He joined Dolphins in 2002. He was part of the team that won the league and cup double in 2004. Got to the final of the CAF Confederation Cup in 2005. Whenever I had Eyimofe on the left wing, we are rest assured, right? Eyimofe could defend, he could bomb forward, he could cross the ball, he could give out accurate passes, and he was intelligent. So that Dolphins team of that era had Eyimofe on the left fullback and Kennedy Chinwo at right fullback. He had Ahmed Abdurrahman and Emma Gordon in the center. He had Kingsley Williams in defensive midfield. I'm drifting away. You asked about exactly about
yeah, but it's okay. It's okay what you're doing.
Asked about Eyimofe, so he was magical too. He was just like Celestine Babayaro. For those who know Celestine Babayaro, was like Celestine Babayaro, but I think slightly more intelligent. But people will ask, how come he didn't make it in Europe? After Dolphins got to the final of the CAF Confederation Cup in 2005, he had a move to Ukraine. I think Ukraine.
Yes.
Then it was discovered that he had a heart problem, which he had to come back home, and he had the Kano Heart Foundation help treat that heart problem. And he played for Dolphins one more season, played for Heartland, and he just ended his career in Nigeria. But that's why he probably did not make it in Europe.
One of these are players that we all grew up together, and every time I think about these guys, I'm like, man, these guys are some of the brightest talents. So if you're out there, you're watching this show and you're a fan of the NPFL, this is where we wrap up. But please, in the comment section, tell us some of the NPFL players that have really thrilled, entertained, and make you love watching the NPFL. It's your call. Let's make the NPFL one of the best talked about league in the world. Thank you very much, China, for being on the show today. And to everybody out there, thank you for watching. Please do well to subscribe to the channel and help us to grow to be the very best channel in the world. My name is Idafi Matthias. You're going to love to comment. The Sports is the views from the stand. Bye-bye.